Why the first $5,000 changes your brain. The psychology of saving. You ever notice how saving your first $500 feels impossible, but once you finally hit $3,000, $4,000, something shifts. Like suddenly you're checking your bank account not with anxiety, but with curiosity. You start thinking twice before buying random stuff on Amazon. You feel slightly uncomfortable dipping into savings. You even start saying things like, I don't need that. And you can't quite explain why. Here's the thing. The first $5,000 you save doesn't just change your bank account, it changes your brain. And most people completely underestimate how powerful that shift actually is. Introduction. My name is Sem, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychology of money and long-term wealth building. If you're someone who feels like saving money is harder than it should be, like you make decent income but somehow nothing sticks, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're not just talking about numbers, we're talking about identity, the lie we're told about saving. Most people think saving money is a math problem. It's simple, they say. Just spend less than you earn. Oh, wow, revolutionary. But if it were that simple, the personal savings rate in the U.S. wouldn't hover around 3 to 5% in many recent years, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis. The median American household has less than $5,300 in savings accounts, according to Federal Reserve data. Less than $5,300, which means half of households have less than that. So clearly, this isn't just math, it's behavioral. It's psychological. And here's what most people don't realize. The first $5,000 is hard not because of the money, but because of who you are before you have it. Phase 1. The scarcity brain. Let's break this down. Before you have savings, your brain operates in what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. Behavioral economist Sendhil Mullainathan, co-author of Scarcity, explains that when resources are limited, your brain literally narrows its focus. You become hyper-focused on immediate needs: rent, groceries, gas, bills. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, your brain isn't wired to think about next week. It's wired to survive next month. Now imagine this. You make $4,000 per month after taxes. Your fixed expenses are $3,200. That leaves $800. Sounds good on paper. But then, car repair, $600. Friend's wedding, $400. Random impulse spending, $300. And suddenly, you're negative. This cycle reinforces a belief: saving doesn't work for me. And that belief becomes identity. I'm just not good with money. That's the real problem. Why $5,000 is the psychological tipping point. Now let's talk about the number. Why not $1,000? Why not $2,500? Here's where it gets really interesting. According to financial planners, $3,000 to $5,000 is often the minimum emergency buffer that prevents most short-term crises from turning into debt. Car repair? Covered. Medical deductible? Covered. Job gap for a month? Manageable. Once you hit around $5,000, three major psychological shifts happen. Number one, you feel protected. Stress drops. And this isn't motivational fluff. A 2022 study from the Financial Health Network showed that households with at least 1 month of expenses saved reported dramatically lower financial stress. When you know one mistake won't destroy you, your brain relaxes. And a relaxed brain makes better decisions. Number two, you stop making desperate decisions. Look, when you have $0 saved, every expense feels like an emergency. And when everything feels urgent, you make short-term decisions. High-interest credit cards, buy now, pay later, payday loans. But once you have $5,000, you don't panic, you pause. And pausing is power. Number three, you shift from consumer to investor identity. This is the big one. Before savings, money flows through you. After savings, money starts sitting with you. And that changes your self-image. You stop asking, what can I afford this month? And start asking, how can I grow this? That is a completely different mindset. the math behind the momentum. Now let's make this practical. Let's say you hit $5,000 saved. You invest it in a broad index fund averaging 8% annually. After 10 years, $5,000 becomes about $10,794. Not life-changing, but that's not the point. The real power is what happens when you keep adding $500 per month. $500 per month at 8% for 20 years? That's about $295,000. And here's the crazy part. The first $5,000 is usually the hardest $5,000 you'll ever save, because after that, momentum kicks in. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Sam, cool, but $5,000 still feels impossible. Fair. So let's talk strategy, because this is where most people mess up. They try to save what's left over. That never works. Saving must be automated and prioritized. The 5-step psychological hack to reach $5,000. Step 1. Shrink the target. Don't think $5,000, think $100. Research in behavioral economics shows that smaller, clearly defined goals increase follow-through. So your only goal is save $100, then repeat 50 times. Step 2. Rename your savings account. Don't call it savings, call it Freedom Fund, or Opportunity Account, or Don't Touch. Labeling changes behavior. Studies in mental accounting show that people treat money differently based on what they call it. Step 3. Automate immediately after payday. If you get paid on Friday, the money moves Friday, not Sunday, not when you remember, immediately. Because willpower fades, automation doesn't. Step 4. Track the progress visually. Progress bars work. There's a reason apps gamify savings. Seeing 10% complete feels good. Seeing 80% complete feels addictive. Step 5. Protect it aggressively. Once you hit $5,000, treat it like it's fragile. Because psychologically, if you drain it back to zero, your brain says, see, saving doesn't last. And that belief resets everything. This is where it gets really interesting. Once you hit $5,000, something subtle happens. You become less impressed by small purchases. A $200 gadget, that's 4% of your emergency fund. A $1,000 vacation, that's 20%. You start seeing purchases in percentages. And percentage thinking is how wealthy people think, not emotionally, mathematically. The identity shift. Let me tell you a quick story. I once talked to someone who struggled for years to save anything. Credit card debt, impulse spending, constant stress. Then one year they got serious. They cut subscriptions, negotiated bills, picked up a side hustle making $400 extra per month. In 10 months, they hit $5,000. And you know what they said? I feel different. Not richer, different. More in control, more patient, more strategic. That's the brain shift. Here's what most people don't realize. The first $5,000 isn't about the money, it's proof. Proof that you can delay gratification, that you can follow through, that you can change your trajectory. And once you believe that, $10,000 becomes realistic, $50,000 becomes imaginable, $100,000 becomes possible. Why most people never get there? Because they quit at $800 or $1,200 or $2,000 right before momentum compounds. Saving is like pushing a car uphill. The beginning is brutal, but once it crests, it rolls. The real wealth formula. Wealth isn't built on income alone. It's built on income plus behavior plus identity. You don't need to make $200,000 to save $5,000. You need structure and discipline and patience, and yes, some discomfort. Final motivation. Look, if you can save $5,000, you can build $500,000. Not overnight, not magically, but structurally. Because the skills required to reach $5,000 are the same skills required to reach financial independence. Delayed gratification, consistency, emotional control, long-term thinking. The first $5,000 rewires your brain from survival mode to strategy mode. And once you enter strategy mode, everything changes. So if you're sitting at $0, or $600, or $2,300, don't obsess over the big number. Focus on the next $100. Because the day you hit $5,000 is the day you stop being financially fragile and start becoming financially dangerous. If this helped you see money differently, subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology and math of building real wealth. I'll see you in the next one.